Well, hey fans, welcome back to another movie review, and today we're talking about Predator Badlands. So before I get to the rest of the review, I'd like to thank the sponsor for this video, MoviePass. So MoviePass is back and it's better than ever. It's a subscription-based ticketing service, and I've been using it for a few months now, and I just think it's great. And they have this neat new black card, and it feels great, and it's very easy to use. And unlike your AMC A-List or your Regal Unlimited, you can use MoviePass at almost any theater, and it is very simple to use. They now go off of a points-based system, so you pay every month, and that will vary depending on the market that you live in, and you'll get a certain amount of points to use for movies. And the price in terms of points for the movies varies depending on the day of the week that you go to the theater, the time of the showing, and how recently the movie has been released. So what you'll do is you'll go into the app, you'll click the movie that you want to see, unlock the card, and then pay. You can also pick the online option for just a few more points if you don't want to wait in line. So again, thank you to MoviePass. So Predator Badlands is a sci-fi action film directed by Dan Trachtenberg, starring Elle and Dimitrius Schuster-Koloamatangi, and it follows this young runt of a predator named Deck who goes on a mission to fight this monstrous beast called a calyx to prove himself to his father. Now, once he gets to this death planet, as it's called in the movie, he meets a synth named Thia, who he is able to use as a tool to help him on his journey. And I thought this was a very interesting way to take the Predator franchise. Dan Trachtenberg, he really does seem to get what the Predator franchise was in the past and where it should be going in the future. He, of course, did Prey and Predator, Killer of Killers, and now he's moved on to this. And I like where he's going. I think we should give him a few more films to kind of work out where this universe is going to go. Because, like I said, I enjoyed it. And the thing about this movie, this is the first live-action Predator movie that is PG-13. The rest have been rated R due to, of course, a lot of killing, a lot of blood, a lot of cursing and whatnot. But this one, there are no human characters. There are human-like characters. You have the synths and you have the predators, but everybody knows in PG-13 movies, or movies in general, alien blood does not count as real blood. Synthetic oil or white fluid that's in the synth does not count as real blood. So you can kill whatever monsters, creatures, things that look like people you want, and it's fine. And of course, they're aliens, so there's like no cursing or whatever. So there's that much. I really did enjoy Elle. She actually plays two synths. She plays Thea and Tessa. And I enjoyed her role as these twin synths from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. They're actually on the planet for a specific reason, also hunting the creature that Deck is hunting. And I actually thought that was a nice twist to the story once it came around. And now, I don't know if it's been officially stated by 20th Century Studios or whoever owns the Alien franchise or Predator franchise, but as far as my knowledge goes, the Predator franchise and the Alien franchise are actually separate. The only thing is, Weyland-Yutani and aliens exist in the Predator franchise, but the Yautja, the Predators, they do not exist in the Alien franchise. So you have basically these two timelines, but Weyland-Yutani exists in both. And I like that. And the way the synths are in this movie, they're definitely Weyland-Yutani synths, but it definitely does not feel like the same kind of synths that we saw on like Alien Earth or Prometheus or all the other Alien movies. They feel a little more, I don't know, high tech. And of course that could just be a director's flourish and how he wants to put them on screen. But I like the fact that it's just, in my opinion, Weyland-Yutani is just in both franchises, but they are on separate timelines. But yeah, Elle was great. I really enjoyed her character. She was funny. She was witty. Of course, very cruel and mean and dark, and when playing her twin sister, Tessa. So seeing that much, when Elle first came into the game, I didn't necessarily think she was more than just Dakota Fanning's sister. But over the years, man, she's a great actress. She has done so many roles. She's very different than Dakota. Very different. They're like two different fruits or vegetables, but they are both great actors, and I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed her role. Dimitrius Schuster-Koloamatangi, of course, he's in full Predator makeup, and you don't really get to see his face, but I think he plays the role well. He's funny. It is very much a more anti-hero type of Predator. They're normally like the monster in the movie, the villain. So seeing him play this role was great, and we actually get to learn more about the Predator lore. Dan Trachtenberg actually opened Killer of Killers with something like this, and he opened this movie like a piece of information from the Predator Codex. think the last one was like go onto the stars and capture your prey. And this one is basically like the predator has no friends, has no loved ones. They are only like a killer or a predator or something like that to everyone. And I like him adding bits of their codex. He should keep doing that with each of the movies. Almost like a Star Wars crawl. You start the Predator movie with a bit of information about their laws or their history or something like that. But this is probably the smallest Predator we've ever seen on screen. He's been called like a runt of the litter. And he's basically trying to prove himself like, hey, look, I may be smaller than my brother, I may be smaller than my dad or any other Yautja out there, but I deserve to be as great as the rest of you. And I'm going to kill this unkillable creature to show you guys that I can do it. And yeah, it was an interesting story. It was interesting to see, you know, him go on this hunt. Now, the funny thing, I think this Predator movie is the furthest in the future than all the other Predator movies we've seen, because even though the Predators have this high-tech technology, very futuristic looking, the technology has in this movie is even more futuristic looking. And of course, Weyland-Yutani sensor in it, so definitely it's at least in the year 2100, if not further than that. And for a low budget, I think it's barely over $100 million. Looks great, it sounds great. The story is very watchable, very easily followable. And it's almost like, if you ever played God of War or any game similar to that, I feel like Dan Trachtenberg was playing one day. I was like, what if Kratos was a predator and his son was a synth? And that's basically how this movie plays off. Like, he just carries the android on his back. They fight like this something bug, which is like a mini boss. And then they fight like another creature, like another mini boss. And you have the final boss at the end. Cutscenes galore. It could easily work as like a video game story if they weren't able to make this movie. And it's just an interesting thing that popped in my head while watching it. There is a funny thing I think that Dan Trachtenberg is going to do with the sequel. We've never seen a female predator before in a movie. And there's not one in this movie. But we are given the promise that moving forward, we will get to see what the female predators look like. And I'm very interested in that. I'm very interested to see more of their culture, because I really want to know. Because it does seem like the synth and this Thea, she can understand the predator language. And even her sister, Tessa, she knows, she's like, I was told that the Yautja cold they're weak. Why are you still alive? So like humans apparently know more about predator lore than, or at least these big corporations know more about their lore than they've let on to the public, because the fact they know this much about the Yautjas and the Yautjas don't really know that much about them, or maybe they just don't care about human technology like that. I think that was an interesting thing to add to the movie. And he asks like a lot of interesting things, questions that I've had about these movies for years. And I think he feels like an audience member that kind of got to make a movie. Like Thea is talking to Deck and she's like, so do you guys eat with your outer pincers or your inner teeth? And that's like a funny question. Like, yeah, well, how do they eat? So there's another question she asks. She asks about like, how does their hair work? And the big question that she asked, she asked about, so how long did it take you to get here? Because have you guys really cracked star travel? Because we haven't quite cracked that yet. Mentioning that they are brilliant scientists on their planet. Somehow they can get to a planet just like that. Well, on Earth, it takes like 60 years, if not more, to travel the solar system. So just a lot of interesting things that I feel like he's going to bring up in the future. One thing I didn't care for, and this goes back to my theory that we already know there's different clans of Yautja and that they potentially actually have different planets within their kingdom. Deck does not want like a pet. He's like, predators don't have like a need for pets. But in Predators, we see that sect of predators, they have like those predator dogs. So clearly there are some groups of predators who are fine with having like attack dog type pets or whatever. And even in the animated movie, they had like giant creatures under their control. So we'll see where the story goes. Like in terms of a score, I think it could have been a little better. There's some things they could have flushed out a little more, but it was a very enjoyable watch. I'll give it a decent 7.5 out of 10. I did get really excited at the ending though, because after watching Predator Killers and how that movie ended and seeing how this movie ended, I thought it was like a direct sequel, like that scene was leading into this movie. That's not the case, but I do think these characters are going to meet up in the next Predator film. Well, thank you guys again for joining me here today. Remember, you can find the full review on YouTube and the website, flipfrogllc.com/flicksfrog. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.